back to winning isn't easy. Building a strong disability claim for HS. Now, I've covered what HS is, how insurance carriers often mishandle these claims, and I've talked a little bit about strategy, but we're going to talk about that in greater detail. If you have HS and you're thinking about applying for disability insurance benefits, either through your filing a claim with your IDI carrier or filing a claim with your ERISA policy or plan, you need to think about what it is you can do to increase the chances of your success. And if you're on claim, you can expect that at some point your claim is going to be denied. So we're going to talk about how we can also increase our chances of maintaining yourself on claim. Step one, get a clear diagnosis and a consistent medical care. There is no gold standard test for HS, but in my view, being seen by a competent and qualified dermatologist to get that diagnosis is crucial. They are going to want to see documentation of the nature, frequency, and duration of your skin lesions, how they may change, the nature of the treatment that you are getting, because they may question the diagnosis based on the treatment that's being recommended. So you need to make sure that you have regular visits and medical notes that reflect your symptoms and functionality. Remember, I've talked about keeping a diary, both in writing and a photo and video type diary. The other thing that needs to be emphasized is that your doctor has to document how HS affects your ability to function, not just the diagnosis. Are you unable to sit or stand for extended period of times? Do you need breaks? Are you missing sleep due to pain? This is really crucial, and a bit goes back to the definition of disability in your policy or plan. You need to understand that. What is it? Is it the inability to do one or more of the essential duties of your occupation? Or is it the inability to do the material duties of your occupation? So you need to know, well, what's your occupation as defined by the terms of the policy? You need to understand what those duties are. And you need to then think backwards by connecting your symptoms to the problems that you are having with doing those duties. So you have to educate your doctor about the definition of disability and occupation. You have to educate the doctor about specific diagnosis requirements. We want objective proof. And by the way, doctor, here's some photographic or video evidence. Can we make it part of our record? And if you have systemic complications involving other body systems, then you need to be seeing that specialist. It might be a gastroenterologist. Then their disability carrier plan is going to expect to see objective testing from the gastroenterologist to address the impact of HS on your gastroenterological system. Now, step two, keep a symptom journal. I've talked about that earlier, but I think you need to think about this based on the areas that are affected. You might have, for example, lesions under your arm. Pictures are obviously great, but you need to talk about the type and severity of pain, particularly as you do various movements, raising your hands up, out in front of you, to the side, maybe even sleeping where you're putting pressure on one armpit if you're sleeping on one side or the other, and how that impacts your ability to sleep. We also need to be addressing issues with drainage, swelling, or bleeding. And for that particular affected area, the skincare routine and how long it takes. Again, video, I think, is really crucial. You also want to document how you may have missed work or other activities due to flares. This journal, I think, is a really crucial piece of evidence. Remember, it's a written journal, photo journal, video journal. It helps counteract that lack of objective proof argument that carriers love to raise, not only in terms of diagnosis, but functional restrictions and limitations. Now, step three, again, photo and video evidence, but I want to take it a step further. You need to take pictures, I think, of what's going on, and then, because that sort of sets up a baseline, and then pictures of flare-ups. If you have surgery, picture before the surgery, after the surgery, the dressing changes, the healing process, how that particular surgery impacts your functionality. Also, we want to date stamp everything. If you're dealing with the draining lesions, we want to take the video. We want to show pictures or video about what's going on here. Ultimately, if this case ever ends up in front of a judge, the judge may be, sort of grossed out, but that's the whole point. We want visual evidence that can convince a court that this HS is disabling and meets the terms of disability under the terms of the policy or plan. The fourth step is coordinate any mental health support. Most of my clients who have HS are depressed. They have anxiety. They even have a bit of post-traumatic stress disorder. And that is a particular problem in some policies or plans where there's that mental nervous policy limitation that says if your disability is caused or contributed to, regardless of how small it might be, benefits are limited to just 2 years. So we want you to get the treatment. We want you to see a mental health provider. We want you to take psychotropic medication if needed. But we don't want the carrier to use your mental health against you. We want the doctor to emphasize, your mental health doctors, to emphasize how HS is the underlying cause of your emotional distress, not the other way around. And that while it may cause some emotional distress, it is not disabling. We want to parse that. At step 5, obviously you don't want to go it alone in a case like this. ERISA claims are complicated, and once your claim is denied, what you have to do is file an appeal within 180 days. And I would prefer to build the evidence before litigation, obviously a claims denial. But if we're in a claims denial situation, I would be asking you, like any HS lawyer would be, to do the kinds of things that we just talked about. In my view, you should not wait until after denial to get help. If you've got HS, you've heard all the challenges that I've talked about. And I think it's really important that you're working with an experienced disability attorney who can help develop the medical evidence, make sure that the history is clear and accurate, make sure that the diary, the photographic and video evidence is consistent, and as appropriate, have your doctors address the objective basis of the restrictions and limitations and diagnosis, have them address why any mental health issues are not the cause of your disability, and then to be prepared to address any potential subjective medical condition limitation terms in your policy. I like to try to plan that ahead, knowing that most likely at the end of 2 years, the disability carrier is going to say, well, you may not be able to do your own occupation, but you could do some own occupation at home, remotely, or by the way, your benefits are limited to just 2 years because of a subjective medical condition limitation, or by the way, your benefits are limited to just 2 years because of a mental nervous policy limitation. We know those things are coming, so we want to plan accordingly. So even a consultation can help you clarify your options and avoid common pitfalls. HS is painful, it's persistent, it's disabling. And I find that insurance companies or plans just don't take it seriously. They look at it as a basic, quote unquote, everyday dermatological type claim. Now, if you are fighting for your disability benefits or living with HS, I hope that today's episode has shed some light on the process and empowered you to take the next step. Documentation, consistency, having the right medical and legal team can make all the difference. Got it? Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Winning Isn't Easy. If you found this episode helpful, please take a moment to like it, leave a review, share it with your family or friends, and subscribe to this podcast. Join us next week for another insightful episode of Winning Isn't Easy. Thanks for listening.